Welcome back to the age of Vitellius, Life of Caesar. This is episode 19. About to tell Ray a story. We were just talking about funerals, and I remember the story I wanted to tell on air. So a few days ago, I'm in the car with Fox, and trying to figure out how I'm doing. How am I doing as a dad? I said, hey, if I had a heart attack and died, and they had a funeral for me, and they asked you to say a few words, what would you say? And without batting an eyelid, he said, I wouldn't have to worry about it. There wouldn't be no funeral. You don't have any friends. No one would come. And I was like, okay, that's fair. Fair point.
He didn't hesitate.
He said, like, Ray's not going to come all the way from America.
It's a bit of a flight. I mean,
no one's going to come. I was like, okay.
I'll be there virtually.
Right,
Can you set up a monitor?
Yeah. Set up a Zoom. Yeah.
You know where you stand with children. You know where you stand with children. That's
Yeah. That's the summation of my life at this point. 54. He's like, you don't have any friends. You got people who are listeners, but they're not going to come. I mean,
you got detractors. I know that.
Yeah.
I've seen.
Yeah. That come to piss on my grave, maybe. Piss on my coffin.
It's just a fan in another form. Please go ahead. I apologize.
No, at the end of our last episode.
Yes.
Vespasian's older brother.
Right.
Prefect of the city, Sabinus, Flavius Sabinus, is trapped by the Vitellian troops on the Capitoline Hill in the temple of Jupiter Best and Greatest.
Right.
With Vespasian's son, Domitian. They sent a messenger to Vitellius and said, hey, this isn't cool. You were supposed to be abdicating. What the fuck's going on? And Vitellius is like, listen, I tried. They won't let me. What am I going to do? Like, it's out of my hands.
You wouldn't understand because you're not as popular as I am. It even surprised me. They won't let me go. They can't do it without me. What am I going to tell you?
Yeah.
You better sneak the fuck out of here now. Yeah.
It's a burden. It's a burden to be this loved. And good looking.
It really.
Yeah. Well hung.
And don't anybody tell you different. It's a burden.
You might think it's a gift, but really it's a burden. Seriously.
I find that the first few days, up until like Monday through Wednesday, it's pretty cool. Then it starts to get old and then it drags. And then you're just hiding from people. You're sending others out to do your grocery shopping. Don't get me, but the point is, it's not all you think it is. Go ahead.
At this point, there was still probably a chance for Vitellius to save himself. He could have gone back out to the forum and assured the populations, the crowds, the troops that Sabinus had acted in good faith in accordance with an arrangement, an agreement that they had made.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't. For whatever reason, as we mentioned last time, his brother Lucius had sent him a message saying that he'd taken a town, and maybe he thought, maybe if I hold out another couple of days, I can negotiate a better retirement package.
Right.
Whatever his reasons were, we don't know, but he decides not to save Sabinus, and that, as it turns out, was the wrong decision.
Yeah.
But at this point, fortune actually turned against the Flavians momentarily.
Yeah.
Antonius had ordered a guy called Cerealis to take 1,000 cavalrymen, including some who had recently just changed sides at Terni, the Battle of Terni, and moved towards Rome. They were like the recon team to get ready.
Yeah.
To take a different route to the one that Antonius was going to take in order to reconnoiter what possibilities of entry into the city there might be if the negotiations of about abdication with Vitellius came to nothing. Obviously, these things are all happening concurrently. 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th of December. There's
Yeah.
still a couple of days march between Antonius and Rome. So the messengers are running backwards and forwards. You know, there's the mobile phone networks are down. There's been
Well,
like in
all the
Spain
hills.
recently, been a big
Right.
blackout.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So he's basically doing the right thing, Antonius.
Yeah.
Look, just in case things don't go smoothly, let's make sure we know if there are any Vitellian troops blocking our entryway to Rome, which ways we can get in. If shit is going to go down, let's make sure we're prepared and we know, what's what and who's who and what the ways in are. And he's doing good commandery stuff.
Prudence.
He's channeling the great JC.
Exactly.
He's got a plan A and he's got a plan B in case plan A doesn't work out. Not sure if he has a plan C at this stage, but at least a plan A and a plan B.
He's thinking it through. And if we could, from now on, Cerealis, the cavalryman, if we can call him Cialis with the erectile dysfunctional drugs, that I have some sitting on my desk here, that would help me remember his name. So if we could, we don't have to, it's just a suggestion. So like you're saying, this is all happening a couple of days ago. So on December 18th, Cialis gets wind of some trouble in Rome. And it's a good thing that Antonius had sent him on, because this is what it's for. It's a contingency plan, just in case things go south. Not unlike my penis without Cialis. You want to be prepared. You want to be prepared. So the next morning, these guys, the cavalrymen, head out. They get closer to Rome. And because they hear there's trouble, and I'm not sure if you have more on this than I do, I'd love to hear it, but they go to the northeast suburbs of Rome to attack, to get attention. But there, and I have to think that they knew this, there's a Praetorian barracks and some Vitellian cohorts. So it's like they're taking on a force either just as strong as they are, if not bigger. I'm not sure that was the best move, but that's what Cialis does. He just does, and he doesn't think. Again, like my penis. So I wondered if you have any more on that, but the point is, it's not good. The opening move for the Flavians does not go well.
I've got a bit of context around it. So this force under Cialis started on the 16th of December.
Mm-hmm.
And they rode about 70 miles, but they were taking their time. I mean, as I said earlier, it was Saturnalia. It's sort of the holiday season.
Yeah.
Everyone's chill. It's fun times.
Yeah.
It's also the middle of winter, which is a nice time to be in Rome. But there's no urgency.
Right.
Like, as far as they're all aware, it's all over now.
Yeah.
Like, the Vitellians are basically given up the ghost. The assumption is that Vitellius is going to abdicate. There's not going to be a battle. They're just chill. So they take a couple of days to make their way towards Rome. On the evening of the 18th of December, they arrive at an old town called Fideni, which is about 8 kilometers north of Rome on the Via Salaria.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got an interesting story about Fideni.
Right.
About 40 years earlier, in the year 29 CE, there was apparently a cheaply built wooden amphitheater constructed by a businessman called Vitellius that had collapsed in Fideni, resulting in what was said to be the worst stadium disaster in history at the time. 20,000 people killed and tens of thousands more injured. There was a total audience of 50,000 people at some gladiatorial games.
Damn.
When the whole fucking thing collapsed.
Shit. That's incredible.
And 20,000 people died. Tiberius was emperor at the time, of course, 27 CE, and he banned gladiatorial games for a while.
Right. Good.
Before this, he had banned the gladiatorial games. And when the prohibition was lifted, people were running around quickly throwing up amphitheaters to make money out of it. Entrepreneurs are going, ban's been lifted, quick, let's knock these things up, getting cheap contractors, no building
Yeah.
codes,
No.
probably getting guys in from Mexico because it didn't have to pay them as much. And
Right.
the public
Right.
were flocking to these games because there hadn't been games for a
Yeah.
while.
Missed it.
And there was a huge crowd. It collapsed. At the time of this incident, Tiberius was at his sex palace, of course, in Capri,
Right.
of course. But being a good emperor,
Yes.
he zipped his pants up and immediately rushed to Fidenae to assist in the handling of the incident.
That's
The
leadership.
Roman Senate then banned people with a fortune of less than 400,000 sesterces from hosting gladiator shows,
Oh.
and also required that all amphitheaters built in the future must be erected on a sound foundation, inspected and certified for soundness.
Damn right.
So, amphitheater building regulations. But then Elon Musk came in and just eradicated the entire regulatory department for he dodged the fuck out of it.
Right. Right. So
I keep telling the Elon Musk fanboys and girls and the Trump fanboys and girls that are like, oh, he's doing such a great job of cutting costs that, listen, let me tell you now, anyone can fire people. Firing people is easy. Anyone can go in and dismantle departments and fire people.
Right.
This happens in corporations all the time. New administrations, new CEOs come in.
Oh, yeah.
Fire 10% of the workforce. And then inevitably, shit goes bad and they have to hire them all back. Usually as contractors on higher rates. So wait until the shit hits the fan.
Right.
Not to say that some of these, that government departments don't need trimming from time to time, but when it's just hack and slash quickly, without a plan, without a strategy, chickens will come home to motherfucking roost. Anyway, the government also banished Vitellius, the guy who built this thing.
Yeah,
so that
you can't do this. Yeah.
I don't know how big this town was, but a
50,000
Roman
people.
town. Yeah,
that's a lot.
20,000 dead and tens of thousands more injured in one hit.
Yeah.
No hospitals to speak of. Like,
a clinic. Yeah. Well, what you need now is grave diggers. I imagine the housing market. We don't have to talk about that, but I mean, we've just lost 33 or whatever it is percent of our populace of this town. Is that bad?
Yeah,
they dodged it. Anyway, I'm done.
Fidenae also, I looked up on Fidenae. It was also like an old Etruscan town, not far from Rome, as I said, like 8 kilometers out of Rome.
Right.
One of the scenes of a lot of the final battles between the Sabines and the Romans, the Etruscans.
Mm-hmm.
So has a long history. It'd been around for like centuries, this place, but there was a huge tragedy.
Gotcha.
So anyway, back to Cialis, as you call him, Cerealis in Fidenae. He gets wind that shit's going down in Rome, that Sabinus is trapped.
Yes.
Is trapped in the temple of Jupiter, best and greatest. And early on the following morning, the 19th of December, he orders an attack on the northeastern suburbs of the city. Expects to only encounter some sort of token resistance, but instead runs into a bunch of Praetorian barracks because that's where they were based, and they'd placed pickets on the roads. I mean, they weren't completely fucking lazy and useless.
Right.
And so he runs into a relatively significant force of Vitellian infantry and cavalry in suburban Rome. Like there's villas, there's shops, there's markets.
Right.
The garrisons there are familiar with what's going on. Suburban warfare, we've talked about this before in different episodes over the years. difficult at the best of times
Yeah.
when you have one side that has lived there and been based there for a number of years. They know the streets, they know the people. You have another side that's just come from the Danube.
Yeah.
They don't know these people. They don't know these streets, and including some that have just changed sides recently.
Right. Their art's not in it yet.
Yeah. It's not a good situation for Cerealis.
Well, the other part of that is you don't want to be on the team that's only got cavalry fighting in an urban setting. Just not going to go well for you. Your horses need room to deploy. Now, normally when you take some Cialis and you blow it, you have some wind behind it. They can do a lot. It can do a lot of damage. It can do pretty good, but not say it went against a larger force. Trying to keep a straight face. It went a larger force. Things did not go well. In fact, one of Cialis's commander of one of the regiments was captured. The rest were pushed back. But here's the point that we're trying to make. So far you've had some clashes, but this is a much bigger. You can actually call this a battle if you want. And because it's a battle, it's like a line has been crossed or Pandora's box has been opened, whatever metaphor you want to use. The way I thought of it was a powder keg has just been lit. Everything else before was like a slap across the face. This was an actual battle. So now the ante has just gone up and you don't want to be the one that backs down. So again, it's been turned up to 11 now. We're going to have to see what happens.
And the Vitellians are understandably pissed at the sudden attack. They assumed it was a clumsy attempt of the Flavians to sneak into Rome. Then they started to assume that the whole theatrics of the aborted abdication had been a plot by Sabinus to mislead Vitellius while the Flavians attacked Rome, because this is all happening on the same day.
Yeah.
The abdication attempt, it doesn't go ahead.
Good point.
Then Sabinus gets trapped, and then Cerealis tries to get in, and the Vitellians attack him. Yeah. So the Vitellians that are part of this assume that Vitellius has been tricked all along, that the Flavians are making a sneaky play on Rome, and without waiting for orders or for heavy equipment or even officers to get involved who might be a little bit more cautious and strategic,
right.
Most of the Praetorian cohorts, there are about 3 Praetorian cohorts, made off with a head full of steam towards where Sabinus was on the Capitoline Hill in the Temple of Jupiter, best and greatest. Their intention is to kill him in revenge for the attack. Now, of course, he has no idea that this is going on. He's got nothing to do with him. But they assume that it's part of a plot that he is part of or in charge of.
Yeah. And not only that, even though he doesn't know, where he's at is getting more desperate. So again, you're right. The Vitellians don't wait for any kind of siege equipment. They set fire to the portico, and this fire spreads. As it spreads, the Flavians have to close in or move to a different place. And the Vitellians are following them along. And there's a doorway that they try to use, but Sabinus has several of his men push statues in front of the door. So it's getting desperate. Things don't look good. Now, because this is a temple, there's not just one door. Rome had very fierce fire codes. There's at least 3 more doors that they could go through. So the Praetorians spread out. They're trying to find some way in, which is when, again, fight fire with fire. Quintus Atticus, the consul, sets fire to the houses of the enemy. Was on houses trying to get over, they were on the roof trying to get into where they're at. He sets fire to those houses trying to stop them. Suddenly that fire spreads, and now the entire portico is burning down. So again, I'm not sure exactly how marble burns. I think we've had this conversation before, but there's some serious damage done. Houses are being burned. In fact, I think all 3 temples, Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva, are burnt to the ground. But that's not the worst of it if you're a historian, because some very valuable, maybe even priceless artifacts or records were also lost as well.
Yeah, there were 3 8,000 bronze tablets that went back to the earliest days of Rome,
Yeah.
including senatorial decrees and laws and histories that all were lost in the fire. And the temple itself was considered a national shrine.
Yeah.
Galba had prayed for the welfare of Rome and himself
How'd that
there
go?
not that long before. Yeah. So, well, the destruction of it
Right.
seemed like retribution from the gods for what was happening right now. That's for the temple of Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva. The temple of Jupiter, Optimus Maximus, which had been around since the founding of the Republic, also gets destroyed to a large extent.
Yes.
The original version of it had lasted 425 years until it was burnt down in 83 BCE during Sulla's civil wars.
Right.
Its replacement had been dedicated in 69 BCE, and now it gets destroyed 138 years later in the middle of another civil war.
Damn. Don't learn.
So the Romans are obviously super pissed about this as well, and they're going to be blaming the Flavians for it, at least initially.
Right.
So Sabinus and his guys are in there, and this fire obviously is going to make it difficult for him to command as much as he wasn't that much of a commander.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was more of a paperwork kind of guy, as we said in the last episode.
Plotter.
He was trying to get his guys to rally and do stuff. They weren't really listening. Everyone was panicking. Most of the troops that he had threw down their arms and either surrendered or escaped or tried to find hiding places as the Vitellian Praetorians forced their way in. A few of his soldiers tried to defend themselves, and they got cut down.
Yeah.
Sabinus was unarmed and made, again, no attempt to escape. And he and Quintus Atticus, the consul, were surrounded and taken prisoner. Domitian had disappeared.
Yeah. He was studying magic on the weekends and at nights, and somehow just went and just fucking disappeared, which is good because, I mean, he's the son of Vespasian. I think the
Flavianus disappearus.
And
that's
then
what he said.
It fucking worked, and it fucked. But now they've got the brother of Vespasian.
So Sabinus and Atticus are chained up, taken to the Palatine. To be received by Vitellius. Now, Vitellius again is on good terms with both of these guys.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck, now what? So again, he's aware of their innocence, but also his lack of authority. No one's really listening to him.
Right.
He's like, now, well, hold on a second. Let's just wait. No.
Let's everybody chill.
Let's calm.
Chill.
Fuck.
That's pretty much.
No one's listening to him. His troops are like super, super pissed. And they think Sabinus is a traitor. Atticus is a traitor. They think Vitellius has probably been tricked or is weak-willed or whatever.
Yeah.